Welcome to the 4th annual Squirrel Tactics Thanksgiving Special. We're covering the only Thanksgiving episode we haven't already covered. You know, the one where Peggy summits Mount St. Lunacy out of jealousy towards her own son.
Come on, Bobby, it's Frito pie with Wolf Brand chili night. What the... There better be a naked cheerleader under your bed.
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Don't forget to hit the buttons like, hype, check out the Patreon, the merch store, Squirrel History, you know, all that stuff. So yeah, gobble gobble, let's do this. Goodbye Normal Jeans. The title comes from the first line of Elton John's Ode to Marilyn Monroe, Candle in the Wind.
Goodbye Normal Jeans.
Fun fact, this song replaced the Arlen School song in 1997.
Oh, come on, guys. Too cool to sing the school song?
We changed it back in 97.
It's a candle in the wind now.
Oh, Marilyn Monroe or England's Rose.
For those unaware, Elton John rewrote Candle in the Wind as a tribute to Princess Diana after her death in 1997. That version being known as the Goodbye England's Rose version. An interesting piece of info about this episode, it is the exact midpoint of the original run. This is episode 130 out of 259, meaning 129 episodes came before it and 129 episodes came after. It's the fourth and final Thanksgiving episode for this show, not like overall. Other shows still make Thanksgiving episodes, those just didn't stop. Though some people do think that Nancy Does Dallas is a Thanksgiving episode, I'm guessing due to the parade, but that parade was for rodeo days.
Hello, Dallas! Hey, goat!
This episode starts off with Bobby in home economics class, and I cannot recommend enough that everyone take home ec in school. They'll teach you how to cook, clean, sew, all that good stuff if you don't already know how. Seriously, I wholeheartedly believe that home ec should be a requirement. Bobby's class is taught by Miss Bittner, voiced by Mary Shear, who also was the voice of Gracie. No, not that Gracie. The one who helped Hank teach Bobby about the birds and the bees back in Square Peg.
We call this machine the Matchmaker 500.
Now, Bobby, you're coming to a time in your life when you're gonna start to have tender feelings for a girl. You're gonna need to know what those feelings mean and what to do about them. Oh my God! Where's the other half of that dang permission slip?
You know, it's kind of funny when you think about it that the episode about sex ed has the word peg in its title. Bobby puts dish soap in his iron so that it makes bubbles and he can pretend to be a fish. I mean, yeah, it's Bobby. He's the class clown. This is kind of what he does.
Don't test me, young man. I failed funnier kids than you.
Though it does not exactly ingratiate him with old Miss Bittner. In fact, when she gives them all a take-home exam of identifying and cleaning a stained cheerleader uniform, she adds a little chocolate on top just for Bobby. At least he can identify that stain. Removing it is a totally different story, but he's at least got part of the exam done. By the way, I'm guessing that this uniform is made of cotton. So, based off of research and personal experience, you just scrape off the excess chocolate off the top, you rinse it from the non-stain side with cold water, and then you just use a spot treater. Problem solved, and I don't even want the answers to a crossword puzzle in return. Also, that janitor is way too comfortable sucking something off of Miss Bittner's finger there. Anywho, back at the Hill House, Peggy is making Frito pie with Wolf Brand chili because that's how you make Frito pie. The official state pie of Texas might be pecan pie, but it ought to be Frito pie. This is when Hank catches Bobby with the cheerleader outfit and Bobby informs him that he's taking home ec. Why don't you know what classes your kid's taking, Hank? Also, what's wrong with Bobby learning to cook and clean for himself? This episode does kind of set Bobby off on a course as it pertains to the love of cooking, keeping in mind that this is season 7 and we didn't see him cooking with Bill until season 11.
Well, Bobby. Oh. Ooh, it has an undertaste. Bobby, that's very good.
Now when you hit the stores with all your sauces, maybe you could call this your sugar and spicy version.
Now, Hank's attitude here of if Bobby learns to take care of himself, why would he get with a woman is very much of his generation. He's being the typical boomer dad here. Is it old-fashioned and outdated? Yeah. Is it what he was taught and therefore what he's teaching? Also, yeah. Hank isn't trying to hurt Bobby or stunt him in any way here. He's preparing Bobby for the world that he himself was raised in, even though that world doesn't exist anymore. Peggy argues that Bobby learning home ec won't make him a sissy, her word, and she's right. However, keep these two stances in mind because here in a minute they're gonna completely swap. Out in the alley, Hank laments to the guys and Dale keeps bringing up his time as a varsity towel manager back in high school. And when Bill makes a shot with an empty beer can back into the cooler, why would he put an empty can back into the cooler? You don't put an empty box of crackers back in the pantry, do you? That's the same sort of thing. Dale bets him $1 million that he can't do it again, and of course he fails to do so.
You choke, you owe me $1 million, choker. Choker.
So apparently he owed Dale $1 million, and yeah, good luck on that. Bobby goes to Peggy for help with his project because Hank doesn't do laundry. He should at least sometimes, but he doesn't. However, as right as Peggy is about housework not just being woman's work, something that the show has already covered.
You think that'll really happen to me?
Well, it won't if you keep slapping them in the butt and ordering them around. You'll do okay. You just have to remember one thing. Women were not put on this earth to serve you and me. Now, what do you say we get an ice cream?
She then shows us pretty much exactly what not to do in order to properly handle those stains. Nor did she identify the unidentified stain unless they didn't show us that.
First, you blindside it with pre-soak. Then, you sucker punch it with some hot water. And just when it's begging for mercy, you rip off its head and pour bleach down its neck.
You go out there, you tear their fucking heads off, and you shit down their necks. Let us pray.
Also, if that outfit was completely white, she'd be more or less fine, but it has color. Hot water makes color run, and bleach, well, bleaches it. Which is why when it comes out after the wash, it looks like an outfit worthy of Jesus because it's so holy. Oh, and let's not forget that they washed Hank's blue jeans in there too. Peggy refers to them as dungarees, which nowadays is just another term for jeans or denim, depending on its usage. But historically, denim and dungarees are similar yet slightly different. Whatever. What matters is that those pants are
D for done.
Hank is distraught because he apparently only owns one pair of jeans. Why does he only own one pair of jeans? Peggy and Bobby have had issues trying to figure out what to get Hank as a gift before, and it seems the clear answer is another pair of jeans.
I say we just get him a gift certificate.
That's a great idea, Bobby. We will give your father, who worked so hard to conceive you, the same thing we give the paper boy, who did nothing.
Or, crazy idea, go to the store and buy a new pair of jeans. They're like $20. If he wants them to be thicker and sturdier, well, that's cool. They're like $10 more. Yes, that would solve the problem, but then the plot doesn't happen. Bobby takes the jeans to Miss Bittner, hoping that she can fix what Peggy destroyed. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of things in life that Peggy is good at.
Peggy Hill, educator, mother, rancher.
But this just ain't one of them. Also, her giving him a B- here is very kind of her.
Ms. Bittner, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I heard one thing you've said all year, especially whatever you said about bleach. Can you help me fix my dad's pants?
She decides to help him out, and serious props to Miss Bittner here. She's a busy teacher with a full load, and yet she takes the time to teach Bobby how to make a pair of blue jeans. Remember, he doesn't fix Hank's pants, he makes a new pair. And this right here is where we start to see Peggy's heel turn, when Bobby mentions using her sewing machine and her being shocked that the seams were so straight. Therefore, proving that the sewing machine wasn't the issue when she couldn't sew straight. And if there's anything that Peggy Hill truly hates, it's being reminded of her shortcomings. Also, yeah, that whole Hank's biggest issue as a parent is not supporting Bobby thing is totally out the window. He is over the moon with what Bobby's done.
I mean, they're a little stiff, but After I break 'em in for a couple years, they'll be perfect.
He even makes a joke about being glad Peggy ruined his pants so that Bobby could make better ones. He wasn't being malicious, but rather supportive of Bobby, and Peggy does not take it that way. Doesn't really matter how she took it because she was disappointed that her son didn't fail, and that right there is just wrong. Meanwhile, Dale is hounding Bill about the $1 million, so Bill writes him a check. It's dated 2001, even though the episode premiered in 2002, but, you know, animation and production time and all that, so yeah, that sounds about right as the B-plot continues. Hank and Peggy come home after grocery shopping and Bobby's cooking a pot roast. Hank is still beaming about the new pants. Peggy is annoyed, and Hank accepts Bobby cooking, telling him to make sure he's out of Peggy's way when she needs the kitchen because it's pork chop night.
Yes, Bobby, I can handle the heat. So get out of my kitchen, because with pork, the slightest mistake could kill us all.
To be fair, this is coming from the woman who made chicken tartare.
Well, maybe she'll get food poisoning. You gave it to me that one time, you could do it again.
Excuse me for making chicken tartare.
Over at the bank, Dale is trying to cash Bill's $1 million check, and yeah, it doesn't go through because of course it doesn't go through. Bill ain't got $1 million, he's an army barber. First, why doesn't Dale have to show ID? B, the clerk herself says that the checks are normally jokes, then takes it seriously. Probably just trying to get rid of Dale as quickly as possible.
Most of the $1 million checks we see are jokes.
Your job sounds fun.
Third, when she sees that the account has nowhere near that amount in it, she announces how much is in it, which that in and of itself is a no-no, then proceeds to just cash the check. But how did that work? Did she input it as a check for the amount in his account, which wouldn't pass anyway because the physical check has to match what's inputted? So how did she do this? Also, one of the state quarters that Dale requests, Utah, didn't actually get minted until 2007, so they did not exist in 2001. Anywho, Hank and Peggy are having pork chops. Based off Hank's cutting, they seem to be a little tough there.
I'm working my ass off here.
Plus, he doesn't exactly look like this is his favorite meal, but he's certainly trying to humor Peggy.
Yep. Tastes like Tuesday.
Thank you, Hank.
Bobby brings in his pot roast, which that exact same knife slices through like butter. Hank loves the pot roast, preferring to eat it while it's juicy and save Peggy's dried out old pork chops for later, which of course Peggy is not happy about. After venting to Nancy, who gives her a ladies' monthly magazine she got at the library, Peggy tries to make a table centerpiece, but well, yeah. Remember earlier when I said that Peggy has things that she's really good at? You know, state champion boggle player, great at ranching. Honestly, she's a good teacher when she knows the curriculum, but being crafty is just not in this woman's wheelhouse. Peggy is not a very good homemaker. She's fully aware that she has never been a good cook.
You are not trying to make...
That's right. Beef Wellington.
Cherry pie? Why not just build him a rocket ship?
Mom, would you stop it? He is my boyfriend. It is my dinner. I will cook it.
But Peggy, if Hank discovers you cannot even bake, it is all over.
You think I can't see that?
And because of the world and expectations that she grew up with, which in all fairness includes Hank.
You know, if I hadn't hurt my back that day, I would have known she couldn't cook. And then I would have been forced to not marry this little gal.
She sees her shortcomings and Bobby's success as threatening her position within the household. Let's also keep in mind that Peggy didn't procure an old bird's nest, she took one in use.
They'll build another nest. They're not just going to let their eggs sit there on the sidewalk.
She picks up something from the nest. They don't specify what parasite Ernst comes out of her hair. Ernst, by the way, has been Peggy's hairstylist since at least season 4.
Okay, look, Hank. Why don't you go ahead and take my 1 o'clock with Ernst tomorrow? Do not be late unless you want the coldest shampoo of your life.
And he's voiced by Toby Huss.
Bertie, the strongest man in the world.
She complains about Bobby taking her spot in the house, and Ernst reminds her that there's one spot that Bobby can't take. So while Bill is finding out in the checkout line that his bank account is empty,
Still over.
Yeah, that's terrible, Bill. I don't get the whole eating butter on its own thing. There's an episode of Tales from the Crypt where Bill Paxton eats butter, and it's the most memorable thing I could think of from that episode.
Butter?
Yeah, that's Brad Dourif. Also, movie recommendation, Frailty, Bill Paxton's directorial debut. If you want something more Thanksgiving-y, go with Dutch.
I understand. I'm involved with it now, so this is personal too. You hurt her and I'll hit you so fucking hard your dog will bleed, okay? Nice meeting.
Anywho, Ernst is sprucing Peggy up with a brand new hairdo. Hank isn't much of a fan of it, as he is the new circular saw buddy that Bobby knitted for him, thus making Peggy even more unhappy. Add to this the fact that while she was out, Bobby cooked dinner, but she has faith that her new hairstyle, which personally to me looks like one of those chocolate fountains that I don't use because I don't trust it, is gonna win over Hank over Bobby's dinner. They eat said dinner, and Peggy is excited to get to the bedroom stuff, but apparently Bobby, in addition to being a good cook, knows a thing or two about cheese. He probably used Cabot because Hank enjoyed it enough to have seconds, and after shutting down Peggy's advances due to the smell coming off of her hair, a lot of hair products smelled pretty terrible back then, he says the thing.
Boy, that cheese.
The smell is apparently bad enough that he gets up in the middle of the night and separates the two beds. Yeah, it's not one big bed, it's two smaller beds. We find out they do this because one of them prefers a firm mattress and the other extra firm. Peggy wakes up during the process and gets all mad. I mean, Hank is doing what he needs to do. Again, a lot of those products back then smelled very badly and very strongly. Peggy runs off to sleep on the couch, which Bobby is in the process of deep cleaning.
Was this ever an outdoor couch?
So Peggy goes to sleep in Bobby's room. Hank hears a ruckus in the living room.
I don't know how I'm supposed to pay the bills. Probably have to start selling crack. Or rapping about selling crack.
Not that kind of ruckus, the cleaning a couch kind of ruckus. He invites Bobby to bunk with him, and they stay up eating popcorn, watching TV, and talking, really talking. I'm seriously a huge fan of Hank in this episode. Well, except for the beginning and to an extent the end, but we'll get to that. He fully embraces Bobby doing things that he would look at as being less masculine, and no, he doesn't cut Peggy out. She gets in her own head, winds herself up, and causes every issue in the episode. Like seriously, the fact that Hank and Bobby stayed up all night talking and bonding makes her so mad that she screams into a pillow. And just to show us that we ought to go ahead and change her name to Petty Hill, she finds the magazine that Nancy gave her under Bobby's mattress, not exactly the kind of magazine you typically find under a teenage boy's mattress, but alright, and she decides to narc on her own son to her husband.
And his horoscope says that this is a good week for him to meet the man of his dreams. If you ask me, Hank, that boy ain't right.
And yeah, that doesn't work, because of course that doesn't work. Hank has come around to see things from Peggy's perspective. You know, the one she had back at the beginning, whereas Peggy has taken Hank's spot as the old-fashioned traditionalist. Instead of being mad, Hank asks Bobby if he can make a recipe in the magazine, which, much to Hank's delight, Bobby has already started making. Hank then has the idea of just having Bobby handle the whole meal. Bobby wants to do it, and it allows Peggy to not have to cook for once. There's plenty of ladies out there who wish they could take a year off from cooking Thanksgiving. So for everyone else, this is a great idea. That is to everyone except for Petty Hill. She takes it as an insult, and what pushes her over the edge?
Mom, you mind popping my bird in? Don't worry, the racks are set and the oven's already preheated. It's idiot-proof.
Yeah, I could kind of get why she'd be irritated by Bobby telling her it's idiot-proof. I will give her that. But otherwise, she's about to ruin Thanksgiving out of pride and spite, which is strike one. Now, I've been asked if squirrels celebrate Thanksgiving, and yes, of course we celebrate Thanksgiving. We're kind of important to the holiday's origin. Have you folks never seen the Thanksgiving that almost wasn't?
And of course, sitting at the head table as guest of honor was your great-great-great-grandfather, Jeremy Squirrel. It's a wonderful day to say thank you.
That's a documentary, you know. It's completely historically accurate. Anywho, Peggy decides to abscond with the turkey rather than put it in the oven. Well, she puts it in the oven, but immediately takes it out. Not quite sure why she left the pot the turkey was in during her turkey cooking version of Just the Tip, but I did notice that she left the oven on, so that's strike two.
What happens when he gets to 3?
He doesn't know.
Hank and Bobby are in the garage getting the turkey platter. It's in the winter holiday poultry serving dishes box, even though Thanksgiving is a fall holiday. Hell, Christmas is barely a winter holiday. Also, while Peggy is sneaking out with the butter-basted turkey carcass, we see Hank and Bobby on the right side of the garage with that door open and Hank's truck parked on the left side of the driveway. Yet in the next shot, we see Hank's truck behind Peggy's car and they are both magically on the right side, and therefore wrong side of the driveway. Where is she going? Well, unlike Cotton Eye Joe, we know the answer to that. She's heading to Ernst's. That was fun to say, but first she's gonna steal Bobby's bicycle that she later claims she does not know how to ride.
I promised to learn how to ride a bike.
You don't know how to ride a bike?
I grew up in Montana, Bobby. We rode horses. Though a bike probably would have been better because I wouldn't have had to castrate it.
And to be fair, she does completely wipe out, literally knocking the stuffing out of the turkey. You know, that should be an insult. I'm gonna knock stuffing out of you, turkey. Maybe it's already a thing. What matters is that if that poor bird wasn't ruined before, it is now.
Already dead.
While she's sneaking away to peddle her way across Arlen, Bill is finally learning why he has no money when Dale admits he tried to cash the check and the bank gave him everything that Bill had in there. Which, yeah, is a lawsuit waiting to happen, but Hank gets to play peacekeeper.
Dale, stop talking like a lawyer and give Bill his money back.
What's the point? Bill would probably just go and spend it on something stupid. Like himself.
Peggy heads over to Ernst's or whatever, under the impression that Ernst is gay. Yes, he is a hairstylist, and he speaks in a way that many would deem to be effeminate, but why would Peggy think he'd be alone on Thanksgiving? Does she not think gay people have friends or family? Did Peggy think he was the only gay man in town, like Southpaw hiring one women's wrestler?
How could you hire one? What are we going to do with one? You need 2.
She's in for a surprise because she learns that he is in fact not gay. He has a wife and child, which she damn near takes as almost a betrayal because how dare he not be what she thought he was? And how dare he have a family that loves him? Ernst calls Hank because, you know, his wife is pretty much having a mental breakdown because she doesn't think her family loves her, even though they have done literally nothing to show that they don't love her. In fact, the whole her not having to cook Thanksgiving thing is a way for them to show her that they love her, a way to show that they see her as more than just a cook and a maid. However, it seems like Peggy has basically boiled down her worth and her family to just cooking and cleaning. Again, all of which is inside her head. I also want to point out that Ernst claims the smell of Peggy's hair is all in Hank's head, except no, those products do very much have a smell. It's like when people say that lettuce doesn't have a taste, it absolutely does. Hank gets read the riot act and decides he needs to show Peggy just how much he cares.
Bobby, I need you to do 2 things I pray you'll never have to do again. Tape the Cowboys game and give me an apron.
Yeah, in order to do so, he misses the Cowboy game, which is a huge deal for someone like Hank, and he and Bobby cook all the dishes that Peggy typically cooks. Even pulled out that horrific and contagious centerpiece that she made, just to show her that he didn't marry her because of her cooking or anything like that. He married her because he loves her.
I married you because, you know, the love.
It is really nice of Hank to do this, but it should be unnecessary to do so. This is all in Peggy's head. They did not disrespect her. They did not replace her. She has always had her place in the family, and it has nothing to do with her cooking or cleaning or any of that jazz. She turned on her son because he's better at a few things than her, and yet rather than apologize for her insane behavior, Hank has to make everything right. We end the episode with Bobby having Thanksgiving with Bill. I'm guessing that's his punishment. And when they snap the wishbone, Bill makes $1 million bet, which is all just a ruse.
I won! You owe me $1 million!
Correction. You owe me $1 million.
I'm I'm so sorry, Mommy. He made me do it. He was all a setup.
So, goodbye normal jeans, or goodbye normal jeans, also known as the Peggy Goes Completely Batshit episode. I want to point out that she never apologizes to Hank or Bobby. And if anybody here deserves an apology, by golly, it's Bobby. He did nothing wrong. This would be like if Bobby suddenly got good at football and Hank hated him for it. This episode is a peak example of the writers hating Peggy and wanting to make her as insufferable as possible. She's completely out of her mind for most of it. But this is also a good example of how people can let things fester in their own heads until it becomes a real world problem. To use the parlance of today, Peggy needs to go outside and touch some grass. The Bill Dale $1 Million Bee plot is funny and entertaining, if in no way possible in the real world. It gives us another example of Dale not caring about anyone, especially when it comes to Bill.
This course is the feces that is produced when shame eats too much stupidity. You people make me envy the deaf and the blind. Underwear, money, fat. Yup! Get lost, Bill!
And overall, this episode is just pretty damn funny, though it is also irritating due to Peggy's pettiness. Something I find odd, it takes place on Thanksgiving Day, yet Peggy hasn't started cooking anything as of that morning. So how is she going to cook an entire Thanksgiving dinner? In my experience, it takes at least a few days. There is prep work that goes into this stuff, yet she was expecting to, throw together a full Thanksgiving turkey dinner in a matter of hours? Did she make sure the turkey was taken out of the freezer? Those things have to thaw overnight, typically longer. I think they recommend 24 hours, could be wrong, but no matter. She would have been cutting it pretty close if she was planning to cook the entire meal on Thanksgiving. Also interesting that we don't see or hear about any other family members in a Thanksgiving episode. What about Hank's parents? They're supposed to be splitting holidays, so either Cotton or Tilly should be there. And where's Luann? Actually, that's a damn good question. Where is Luann in this episode? She might actually have been able to be a voice of reason. Did not see me saying that about non-early season Luann. But yeah, she could have been the one to keep Peggy from going off the deep end. So yeah, a classic episode. It's funny. It's definitely worth the watch as part of any Thanksgiving King of the Hill marathon. And if nothing else, we learn that opposites do in fact attract.
Well, your mother likes her mattress firm, and I like mine extra firm. So I guess it's true. Opposites attract.
Thanks for watching, folks. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see y'all next time.